We live in a world that is so obsessed with progress. We, we glorify transformation like it's salvation. And then we share before and after photos. We celebrate the glow up, we repost the redemption arcs, and we market healing like it's a brand. But here's the unfiltered truth though. You were already enough before the growth ever began. The growth was just what helped you to see it. See, we've confused becoming with being. We've mistaken transformation for proof. But growth doesn't create worth. Growth just reveals it. And that means that the you that existed in the mess, or in the relapse, in the uncertainty, in the exhaustion, wasn't a prelude. That was you. At Uber Bintegers, we don't want to chase perfection. Instead, we want to practice wholeness. And so integrity helps us to live true to what's already here. And intimacy helps us remember that growth does not make us worthy. It just simply makes us visible again. So let's start here. I think we all love the comeback story, don't we? We crave that redemption arc, the hero's journey, the emotional reveal where everything broken finally makes sense. But that craving, I think, comes from a cultural addiction to progress as validation. And so we don't just want to get better. We want it to mean that we were finally enough all along. And we want the applause that proves that the pain was worth it. We want to look back to who we used to be and say, see, I fixed it. I'm finally legitimate now, right? But worth doesn't work like that. Worth is not a receipt. It's not a reward. It's an inheritance that we forgot how to recognize in the first place. And the dangerous myth, I think, of modern healing is that you're lovable once you're regulated, or once you're healed, or once you're self-aware. And that's still the same transaction that's just dressed up in therapeutic language. It's the wellness version of the hustle, if you will. And it keeps you on this treadmill that calls itself growth, but really runs on shame. But integrity interrupts that noise. It says, I was whole even when I was fragmented. And then intimacy would whisper, you can't love yourself only after the edit. See, you've got to love the uncut version of who you are as well. You don't need to hate who you were to love who you're becoming. But that's, I think, what many of us were really taught to do. We were told that growth meant killing our old selves. And so we buried every version that embarrassed us, right? The needy one, the angry one, the one who stayed too long, the one who didn't really know any better. But those versions weren't our enemies. Those versions were witnesses. They were doing their best with the level of awareness that they had in those circumstances. And they carried us to this moment. And if you can't honor them, you haven't really truly healed then, I think. You've just rebranded your self-rejection as improvement. See, the most radical thing that you can do on your healing journey is to stop making peace conditional on progress. To stop waiting to deserve rest, or to stop waiting to earn softness. To stop pretending like your worth is still on this layaway. You can love yourself while you're still inconsistent. You can belong to yourself before you've been perfected or even amended your boundaries. You can actually be enough right now, not because your potential, but because of your presence. Every transformation that's worth keeping begins with acceptance and not shame. And acceptance doesn't mean this is fine. It just means this is real. It's what integrity looks like in motion. And that's refusing to gaslight yourself into believing that you have to hide to be holy. See, that's not growth. That's That's censorship. True growth, it doesn't erase your past, it just integrates it. It says, even that version of me that's evolving still gets a seat at the table. It refuses to exile any part of you for being less evolved. So, if you've ever looked at an old picture of yourself and then cringed, try this. Look again until you see your humanity there. The innocence, the hunger, the trying. That person wasn't broken. They were just in the process of becoming visible. And you, like today, are still them. You're just better resourced, right? The only thing that changed is your awareness of the worth that was already there. Consider like this paradox, if you will. Growth without self-acceptance turns into performance. And self-acceptance without growth just turns into complacency. But when integrity and intimacy are together and they dance together, you get this evolution with compassion. You stop chasing the milestones and you start embodying what meaning truly looks like. Because growth without compassion is just a prettier kind of punishment. So what does it mean to live like you were always enough though? It means that you don't need to justify your slowness. You don't need to apologize for your rest. You don't have to make your pace a problem. It just means that you stop seeing healing as an audition for belonging. And instead you can start recognizing that belonging was your baseline and that you just got talked out of that. The world will still try to sell you the opposite though. See, every industry depends on your insecurity. From self-help to relationships to religion to capitalism, you name it. Each one of those whispers the same thing, and that is, you could be more. And as long as you believe that lie, they're going to own you. But integrity frees you from that leash. It says, I already am. And intimacy invites you to feel it, not just to say it. It turns worth from a concept into an experience. So the proof of worth is not in your progress, it's really in your permission to stop proving. And when you finally stop performing for love, your energy shifts and your voice slows down. Your eyes begin to soften. You begin to inhabit your life instead of trying to negotiate it. And that's the point. That's the point where peace stops feeling like a prize and starts feeling more like your home frequency. But here's the hard truth though. Growth will not save you if you're still chasing it for validation, especially. Healing can become just another addiction, especially if it's driven by this belief that you are broken. You don't need to fix yourself to be enough. You just need to remember yourself. And remembering doesn't mean going backwards. It means retrieving what was actually buried. It means saying things like, I am not my improvements. I am my essence. So maybe you needed the chaos to wake up. Perhaps you needed the heartbreak to learn how to open up. Maybe you just needed the failure to see how sturdy you actually were. But none of that made you worthy. It just made you aware. See, growth didn't create your value. Growth just clarified your vision. So if you're in the thick of your process right now, if you're still in therapy, or you're still fumbling, or you're still trying, don't rush that becoming. Don't narrate your life like you're the villain of the earlier chapters and the hero of the later ones. You are human in all of that sequence. And humanity has never been disqualified for worth. So maybe the most sacred sentence you'll ever be able to say to yourself is, I was already enough, even when I didn't know it. So try saying that until your nervous system starts to believe it. Say it until the silence feels safe again. Say it until you stop apologizing for existing in the draft form. See, integrity is not about pretending you've arrived. Integrity is about showing up honestly to the becoming. And intimacy is not about being fully known only once you're polished. Intimacy is really about letting people see you in the midst of that process. And maybe that's the whole invitation of worth, to stop waiting for completion and instead to start embracing the continuity. So tonight when your inner critic starts narrating your to-do list of self-improvements, maybe just take a pause and whisper back saying, I'm not a project, I'm a person, and let that be your proof. In tomorrow's episode, we're going to talk about how wholeness was never meant to be performed. We're going to explore a little bit of how authenticity is not a performance, but more like it's more of a permission. And we're going to talk about how to stop staging your wholeness for others' comfort, and to start living instead from this quiet integrity that doesn't really need an audience. But that's for tomorrow. For now, let this be a good point just for some self-reflection. I'll see you in tomorrow's episode.